You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. It is August the 25th and we are live here at paceradio.net and at 420pace.ca. Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. And yourself?
Not too shabby. A little bit of an early morning, but it looks like nice blue skies. It's supposed to get fairly warm today.
Yes, it is a very early morning, especially when you're out on the West Coast. Sunny skies. We got that here as well. But
Nice.
the good news is that we're not in a heat wave. I actually seen some weather that says teens for the highs in the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 30 something today here.
Oh, well, 22 here is what they're telling us. So it's nice. Nice.
It'll
A
be
lot more
take the dog
comfortable.
to the beach day.
Yes, for you, for sure. And I know that your pup loves running up and down the beach. Alrighty, well, you're filling in for Rev Cindy today because Rev Cindy is at your end of the country, and she's doing some education and training.
Yeah.
And
Salt Spring Island, a beautiful place here on the West Coast.
yeah, nice. Alrighty, well, what do you say? We get start right into the news.
Let's kick in.
All right, first story is up. Go ahead.
Google Ads to launch cannabis advertising pilot in Canada. Google Ads is launching a limited pilot program in Canada, allowing cannabis-related product types or services to utilize the online advertising platform.
Participation in this program will be restricted to federally licensed cannabis producers in Canada, where the federal government licenses and regulates commercial cannabis production through Health Canada, while the provinces oversee their own cannabis distribution and sales. In a post on August the 20th, the American multinational technology company said the pilot project will run on search only beginning August the 25th, that's today, and will last for up to 20 weeks. Google says the goal of the pilot project is to ensure users are interested and inform any potential future policy updates.
Google search ads allow businesses to display their advertisements on search engine results pages. This form of online advertising involves businesses paying to have their ads appear when users search for particular keywords. When the project is active, cannabis product ads may be available on search. Google Ads says users will have the option to opt out of ads they do not want to see.
Canadian federal law places strict limits on how cannabis companies can market and promote their products and services. However, they are permitted to share information about brands and products in settings inaccessible to young people. Google also allows ads for topical hemp-derived CBD products with THC content of 0.3% or less, in line with certain U.S. industry standards and practices. Advertisers are required to apply to advertise these kinds of CBD products, and they can only target California, Colorado, and Puerto Rico. Some ad formats may have additional restrictions for the promotion of CBD products.
Google's policy towards recreational drugs has included recent limitations for products or services marketed as facilitating recreational drug use, including products like pipes, bongs, and cannabis coffee shops. It also does not allow ads for instructional content about producing, purchasing, or using recreational drugs. In the past, ads for unlicensed cannabis businesses in Canada were not uncommon on Google. In recent years, those kind of ads have largely disappeared, although they do still appear on other Google platforms like YouTube. The search platform still, of course, shows numerous unlicensed cannabis sellers in its results.
Social media giants like Meta have a history of inconsistency when it comes to legal and illegal cannabis businesses in Canada. And in a related post from July the 1st, Google said that advertisers in the US, Canada, and New Zealand who are planning to use Google's personalized targeting tools to promote products or services containing restricted drug terms to healthcare professionals in their professional medical capacity must apply for the restricted drug term personalization certification. There you go.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to also mention, I don't know about you, but were you not taught that alcohol was a drug?
Yeah.
As far as I know, alcohol is advertised, right? Just saying.
All over the place. Every
saying.
TV show, there's somebody in the background having and it's totally everywhere. It's amazing. In fact, on the news here the other day, literally on the news, they had a whole bunch of different bottles and they were going through the different types of alcohols on the news. And it was just a big promotional here in Vancouver because, of course, they've opened up a bunch of parks for you're allowed to go and drink in the parks.
Oh, yeah, we have that in Toronto where you can now drink in some of the parks. You can't smoke your cannabis because you're not allowed to smoke cannabis in parks.
Yeah.
We can on the sidewalk. So,
yeah.
All right. On to our next story. Here we go. It's up.
U.S. Senate committee to hold hearing on benefits of psychedelics for military veterans.
All right. Good stuff. A U.S. Senate committee has scheduled a hearing on alternative therapies for military veterans with multiple witnesses expected to discuss the therapeutic benefits of psychedelics. The field hearing will take place outside of the Capitol, with members of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee set to meet in Montevallo, Alabama on Friday to discuss the suicide crisis among veterans and possible mental health treatments, including psychedelic medicine.
Witnesses include an official with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, Veteran Mental Health Leadership Coalition's Adam Marr, Compass Pathways' Steve Levine, the University of Alabama's Jim Wright, and Spinal Cord Injury and Diving Innovations' Brian Schaefer. This is a call to action. The veterans aren't broken. It's the system, Marr told Marijuana Moment on Thursday. VA does some good things, but what they don't do well is these new innovations and have approaches to bring them in.
In written testimony to be presented to the committee, Marr said that the phrase alternative therapies often carries stigma. And so he prefers to say emerging or breakthrough therapies, as nearly every major psychedelic, MDMA, psilocybin, DMT, LSD, ibogaine, 5-MeO, DMT, and methadone are in FDA regulated trials.
Generally, these psychedelic therapies show the potential to provide rapid and robust improvements in symptoms across various mental health conditions, PTSD, depression, anxiety, substance use disorders. When used under careful conditions with preparation, clinical oversight, and integration, they can facilitate meaningful, durable changes in behavior and functioning. They are particularly promising for patients who have not benefited from existing treatments. Despite promising results, psychedelic therapies face burdensome regulatory barriers to research and access by patients, Marr said in the testimony. He also said it is difficult to understand why federal officials have only dedicated minimal funding to support studies on the substance's therapeutic benefits.
Most witnesses selected for the hearing have been involved in some capacity with psychedelics research and advocacy. For example, Isles Weichers, Deputy Executive Director at the Federal Veterans Health Administration, Office of Mental Health, was among the authors of a 2024 report looking at research and implementation considerations for psychedelic-assisted therapy at VA.
Levine serves as Chief Patient's Office Compass Pathways, a biotechnology research company specializing in psychedelics that helps secure a breakthrough therapy designation for psilocybin from the Food and Drug Administration. Schaefer, a military veteran himself, has also promoted the therapeutic benefits of psychedelic medicine as part of his organization's mission at SCIDI to expand access to alternative therapies for veterans with serious mental and physical health conditions.
Notably, the hearing is taking place in the home state of one committee member, Senator Tommy Tuberville, who has voiced support for cannabis industry banking access, but hasn't been especially proactive on the psychedelics reform front. The Senate meeting comes amid broader increased attention to the issue in Congress, with members on both sides of the aisle, as well as key administration officials advocating for reform.
For example, the head of VA recently touted his role in promoting psychedelic access for veterans with serious mental health conditions, saying he opened that door probably wider than most ever thought was possible. VA Secretary Doug Collins, who raised the issue in a cabinet meeting with President Donald Trump, said, "We're going to do it the right way," while advancing clinical trials investigating ibogaine, MDMA, and psilocybin.
Last month, the Secretary also reiterated that he's very open to expanding access to psychedelic therapy for veterans, emphasizing that he's intent on finding ways to cure people with serious mental health conditions and not just treat their surface level symptoms. Collins noted that VA, either intentionally or through private partnerships, is actively conducting about a dozen clinical trials into various different substances that we're seeing actually really good results on, including one based at VA Bronx Healthcare that's investigating MDMA-assisted therapy with actually really, really good results.
During that interview, Collins was also shown a recent clip of Navy SEAL veteran Rob O'Neill, who killed Osama bin Laden, talking about his theory that the federal government has intentionally avoided providing access to psychedelic medicine because cures are less profitable than long-term treatments. Collins responded by saying, "I'm going to tell you right now, this Secretary of Veterans Affairs, myself, I want to heal people." Meanwhile, last month in a GOP-controlled House committee approved an amendment attached to a must-pass defense bill that would require a progress report on an ongoing psychedelic therapy pilot program for active duty military service members and veterans.
However, while Congress has been notably amenable to psychedelics research proposals in recent sessions, the House Rules Committee last week separately blocked a bipartisan amendment to a spending bill by Rep. Morgan Luttrell that would have given DOD another $10 million to support clinical trials into the therapeutic potential of substances such as ibogaine and psilocybin. There you go. Separately, bipartisan congressional lawmakers recently met with the VA secretary to discuss pathways to provide access to psychedelic medicine as an alternative treatment option for conditions such as PTSD.
After requesting the meeting with Collins in May, Representatives Lou Correa and Jack Bergman, founding co-chairs of the Congressional Psychedelic Advancing Therapies Caucus, said the three had a productive conversations about advancing psychedelics therapy for the veteran community. Collins has stood out as a VA secretary who's especially passionate about exploring the potential of substances such as ibogaine and MDMA to provide relief from serious mental health conditions, coordinating with other officials, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the head of HHS, who said recently that his aim is to free up plant-based medicine options within 12 months.
Former U.S. Health Secretary Newt Gingrich separately said the psychedelic ibogaine represents an astonishing breakthrough in the nation's current sick care system that's left people with serious mental health conditions without access to promising alternative treatment options, and he intends to use his influence to advance the issue. Separately, The House recently included an amendment to a spending bill from Correa and Bergman that would encourage VA to support research into the benefits of psychedelics in treating medical conditions commonly affecting military veterans.
The lawmakers separately introduced a bill in April to provide $30 million in funding annually to establish psychedelics-focused centers for excellence at VA facilities, where veterans could retrieve novel treatment, including substances like psilocybin, MDMA, and ibogaine. Collins, for his part, also disclosed in April that he had an eye-opening talk with Kennedy about the therapeutic potential of psychedelic medicine, and he said he's open to the idea of having the government provide vouchers to cover the cost of psychedelic therapy for veterans who receive services outside of VA as Congress considers pathways for access.
Bergman has also expressed optimism about the prospects of advancing psychedelics reform under Trump, arguing that the administration's efforts to cut spending in federal workforce will give agencies spines to tackle such complex issues. Kennedy, for his part, has also said in April that he had a wonderful experience with LSD at 15 years old, which he took because he thought he'd be able to see dinosaurs as portrayed in a comic book that he was a fan of. Okay.
Last October, Kennedy specifically criticized FDA under the prior administration over the agency's suppression of psychedelics and a laundry list of other issues that he said amounted to a war on public health that would end under the Trump administration. In December, VA separately announced it is providing $1.5 million in funding to study the efficacy of MDMA-assisted therapy for veterans with PTSD and alcohol use disorder.
Last year, VA's Yoda also touted an initial study that the agencies funded that producing stunning and robust results from its first ever clinical trial into MDMA therapy. And in January, former VA Undersecretary for Health, Sheriff Ethanol said that it was very encouraging that Trump's pick to have Kennedy lead HHS has supported psychedelic reform, and he hoped to work with him on the issue if he stayed on for the next administration, but that didn't pan out. So there you go.
Wow.
Good stuff. Yeah. I'm reading more and more psychedelics in this administration that I haven't heard in years. Just say, Gordo, good morning, guys, he says, and we say good morning back to you.
Good morning.
Gordo is in Scotland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he tunes in quite often to check out what's going on with the news and other programming as well. So
I like the blanket good morning afternoon, guys. You don't have to figure out which one it is. Just throw them both in there. That was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. All righty. On to the next story. Here we go.
Federal court reaffirms medical cannabis patients' gun rights are constitutionally protected. A federal appeals court has ruled that a federal policy preventing drug users from possessing firearms could be violating the Second Amendment rights of certified medical cannabis patients.
Now, the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Wednesday ruled in favor of a group of Florida medical cannabis patients who alleged that preventing them from owning a gun due to their doctor-prescribed medical practices is unconstitutional, Reuters has reported. Federal law prevents anyone who consumes federally controlled substances like cannabis, which remains Schedule 1 under federal law, from legally possessing firearms. The lawsuit, however, hinges on a 2022 Supreme Court decision requiring gun restrictions to be consistent with this nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation.
Originally accompanied by then Florida Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried, the plaintiffs filed their lawsuit in 2022, arguing that the federal policy violates the Second Amendment rights of state-approved medical cannabis patients. The lawsuit also claimed the policy violates a congressional budget provision to prevent federal interference with state-level cannabis programs. As we have argued from the beginning of this case, the Second Amendment does not permit the federal government to categorically deem all medical marijuana patients to be too dangerous to exercise their core constitutional rights. William Hall, attorney for the plaintiffs at Jones Walker, in a statement.
It's a second major victory for cannabis patient gun owners this year after the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in January reaffirmed that the federal prosecution of a Mississippi man who was caught possessing a firearm while having also consumed cannabis had violated the Second Amendment. There you go. Yeah, I was keeping an eye on that because I couldn't understand why, other than it just says that if you have a Federal One substance, they don't allow you to have a gun. But if you're prescribed opiates, and people can pop an extra opiate pill or two and get a buzz, and you can still own a gun.
Yet if you smoke cannabis, that means you can't even go hunting because you can't own a gun to even go hunting.
Exactly. Yeah. And that, it just doesn't make sense. So I'm glad that the court ruled that way. I'm not a big gun person or anything, but people have a rights to own a gun, and they shouldn't lose that right just because of the medicine that they choose.
Wow.
All righty. We'll get the last story lined up here before we go to break, and then we'll do that. All right. You ready?
I'm ready. Brazilian.
All right. Here we go. It's up.
Oh, okay. Brazilian universities collaborate. Oh, we're going to Brazil. Brazilian universities collaborate on cannabis phytochemical database.
All plants, from fruits to vegetables to grains, produce phytochemicals, and the cannabis plant is no exception. Phytochemicals are compounds that give plants their color, flavor, and aroma, and help protect them from viruses, bacteria, and other health issues. The compounds can also be beneficial to humans. In an effort to help ensure the safety, quality, and efficacy of medicinal cannabis products, various academic universities in Brazil have collaborated to create a database of known psychochemicals or phytochemicals found in cannabis plants.
Wow. I think they're going to find it's a big database.
Yes.
The partnership brings together the Federal University of Lavras, the Federal University of Goiás, and the University of Sao Paulo. The project is coordinated by Professor Patricia Guilmera Santos Melo and is titled Innovation in the Selection of Genetic Materials of Cannabis Sativa for Medicinal Use, Near Infrared Spectroscopy, reported CSHAT in its local coverage.
The central objective is to use near infrared spectroscopy to develop rapid, accurate, and non-destructive protocols for selecting cannabis sativa genotypes for medicinal use, states the UFLA on its website. They go on to say that the technology will enable the creation of a detailed database on the phytochemical composition of genetic materials, including in vitro cell cultures. This database will be essential for the standardization of cannabinoid extracts and products, contributing to the safety, quality, and efficacy of the plant's medicinal uses. We have a unique opportunity to unite science, technology, innovation, and social commitment to transform the medical cannabis landscape in Brazil, says Professor Vanessa Stein about the effect.
Now, this next one I'm going to read here is quite amazing because, you're in that age group with me where for years we grew up and all they said was, there's only THC and CBD in them. There's only THC and CBD in them. And now they've discovered separate research conducted in 2023 by investigators affiliated with the Memorial University of Newfoundland and the University of Western Ontario, both in Canada, found that 566 compounds have been identified and isolated, which constitutes over 18 classes of different secondary metabolites found in the cannabis plant. And all of those things, I'm doing an ad in here. We have an endocannabinoid system, the second largest system in our body, that requires a whole pile of these type of compounds. And, they're now finally finding out how many compounds are in this plant. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, my rant there. Out of this number, 125 are cannabinoids, not just THC and CBD like we were told for most of my life. 198 are non-cannabinoids, 120 are terpenes, and if you investigate the terpenes also have health issues. It's like things for helping in the health, constituting a total of 443. The researchers in the 2023 study wrote, the rest of the substances identified in the plant include 2 alkaloids, 34 flavonoids, 42 phenols, and 3 sterols.
566 different compounds. Well, much is now known about the cannabis plants thanks to research conducted in recent decades. There is still a considerable amount that is unknown to humans. There sure is. With that in mind, the cannabis phytochemical database created in Brazil is exciting to think about and will no doubt benefit the cannabis community, both within Brazil's borders and beyond.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited reading that. It's like, yes, this is where people need to dive. CBN, one of the other cannabinoids, helps people with sleep regulation.
Yeah.
It's like, get in there and learn these things. Let's get this figured out.
Exactly. All right. Well, it's time for us to take a break. We're halfway through the news, and we will be back in, let's say, about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis. Yeah, all right. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. Well, Steve, we got 4 more stories to cover. You're looking a little frozen. You still there with me?
Am I here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. That's good enough for me, as long as I can hear you.
The video will catch up.
It will. It will.
It's trying to get to you from the West Coast, so it takes a little longer.
It takes exactly. It's and who knows? Maybe it stopped off on the way.
Stopped in Alberta at one of the cannabis stores.
Probably, yes. I could see that. All right, here we go. Next story is up and ready to go.
Federal cannabis legalization may head to Supreme Court.
All right. The Trump administration has been stalling on making a decision about cannabis for a while now. Soon, however, it may be out of his hands. He recently said his administration is preparing to make a decision on rescheduling cannabis after a long period of providing no information on the topic. Despite that positive news for the plant's fans, the president's Department of Justice attorneys are now gearing up to bring federal prohibition to the Supreme Court, creating uncertainty on where exactly cannabis will stand legally. As reported by MJ Biz Daily, Verano Holdings, the Chicago cannabis operator, partnered with 3 Massachusetts-based peers to sue the DOJ in 2023. They claimed the Controlled Substances Act's federal marijuana prohibition is unconstitutional. On August the 15th, 2025, the Supreme Court gave the plaintiffs until October to file their petition to be seen before the court.
If the case is successfully brought before the court, this will be the first time marijuana prohibition is being considered at this level since 2005. Given Congress's inability to enact meaningful reform due to conflicting voices and proposals being brought to it, this could be the only way to force the government's hand on the matter. This isn't the only weed-related course in the Supreme Court may see in the near future. In July, the federal government asked the High Court to review U.S. versus Hamani, which would clarify the constitutionality of a law that prohibits owning a firearm for marijuana users. Trump's DOJ intends for the court to uphold the legislation implementing limits to the Second Amendment for drug users and addicts.
And we know how that worked out. Well, this case is focused on the complexities of firearm ownership. It will present another big opportunity for the plant to be considered by the Supreme Court. According to Douglas Berman, a professor at the Morehouse College of Law at the Ohio State University, this is the kind of case that presents the greatest likelihood that the Supreme Court will have to grapple with some aspects of modern cannabis realities. And as we read in another story, the cannabis patients have access. So,
wow. Given the Trump administration's support of the Second Amendment and private gun ownership, a case like Hamani may force the president to face the plant head on, as Berman said. The administration may have a harder time or at least feel uncomfortable articulating a broad rule that says no Second Amendment rights for anybody and everybody who uses marijuana. If one or both of these cases are seen by the Supreme Court, the legal landscape around weed could change overnight. Right now, there's no way to know what the very near future will hold for advocates for the plant. In the meantime, make sure to stay informed about your local laws and regulations.
There you go. Well, let's see what happens. You just don't know what's going to happen when it gets to the Supreme Court. Just never know.
Wow. It's just amazing. Like you watch the how much money gets spent on the courts over just a plant.
No. Oh, I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Time for Hemp that broadcasts here on the Pace Radio Network on Friday mornings at 10 o'clock. That store or that show, when it starts, the song says, "Look at all that money."
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. All righty. Next story is up. Here we go.
Cannabis associated with better outcomes among pancreatitis patients.
All right. Like that. The pancreas is a large gland behind human stomachs, close to the first part of the small intestine, and it serves two important biological purposes. The first function is to make insulin, and the other is to make digestive enzymes to help the human body digest food. Unfortunately, some people experience a serious health condition called pancreatitis, in which their pancreas is inflamed. Chronic pancreatitis is when the condition is ongoing. Common treatments for chronic pancreatitis include strict diets, enzyme supplements, over-the-counter and prescription pain relievers, and in severe cases, surgery, such as a total pancreatomy. So basically, you remove it.
Wow. In November 2024, in a November 2024 study, a team of international health researchers estimated that from 1990 to 2021, global pancreatitis cases increased from 1.73 million to 2.75 million, representing a rise of 59%.
Wow. A separate study was conducted this summer by a team of researchers affiliated with various health and academic institutions in India and the United States, in which they examined medical cannabis use among people hospitalized with chronic pancreatitis. The study's findings were published in the Journal of Gastrointestinal and Liver Diseases. And it says, previous studies have shown that cannabis may reduce disease severity of pancreatitis. We aim to use nationally available data to further investigate the impact of cannabis on outcomes among patients with chronic pancreatitis, the researchers stated.
Nationwide inpatient sample 2016 to 2020 was used to identify patients with chronic pancreatitis. Patients were stratified based on the presence of cannabis use. Data was collected regarding patient demographics, comorbidities, and Charlson Comorbidity Index, intensive care unit admission. The outcomes assessed were sepsis, acute kidney injury, deep vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolism, intensive care unit admission, acute pancreatitis, pancreatic cancer, total charges, and length of stay. The relationships were analyzed using multivariate logistic regression, the researchers wrote, explaining their methodology. The investigation determined that out of 907,790 hospitalized patients involved in the study, 52,360, or 5.8%, were cannabis consumers, and that after adjusting for confounding factors, cannabis use was associated with decreased odds of mortality, DVT, PE, ICU admission, and pancreatic cancer.
Nice.
5.8%. Wow.
Drop. Yeah. Our study found that cannabis use is associated with reduced disease severity and better outcomes among patients hospitalized with CP. Further studies are needed to confirm our findings and explore the role of cannabinoids in pancreatitis. Concluded. So there you go. More good news. We keep, so many studies. We need more studies. And there's so many studies that come out.
That's the weird thing. They fund a lot of studies, but then the act of getting things done after the study is really slow and long and time consuming. So they do the studies, but nobody acts on them in a hurry because the studies just kind of generate more studies, and there's lots of money put into studies. And it's like, how about we put some of that money into helping people heal?
Yeah, let's heal for sure. All righty, let's go on to the next story. She's ready.
Cybersecurity researcher uncovers over 957,000 medical cannabis patient records on an unsecured database.
Holy smokes.
There's a cybersecurity researcher has discovered a public and unencrypted database containing the personal records of over 957,000 Ohio medical cannabis patients.
Cybersecurity researcher, as Steve says, recovered a public unencrypted, and non-password protected database that contains, it's basically like a million, you might as well just say a million personal records of medical cannabis patients. Jeremiah Fowler on Tuesday published the findings that records records held by Ohio Medical Alliance LLC, an organization that helps individuals obtain medical cannabis ID cards in the state. They were exposed. The records, 323 gigabytes in all, includes images of driver's licenses or ID documents from multiple states that contain names, physical addresses, birth dates, and license numbers, and folders that were labeled with patients' first and last names, contained intake forms, medical records, release forms, physician certification forms that included social security numbers and mental health evaluations. Oh my God.
The majority of files I saw in the two databases were in PDF, JPEG, or PNG formats. One CSV document named Staff Comments contains a large amount of internal communications, notes about clients, appointments, status, or personal situations. That document also contained an estimated 210,620 email addresses of clients and internal employees or business partners, Fowler in a said Fowler in a website Planet post. Fowler indicated he sent a disclosure about his findings to OMA, which operates under the Ohio Marijuana Card brand, but did not hear back. However, the database was restricted from public access the following day and no longer accessible. Yeah, really?
Really? Wonder how long that was successful. Like, that's a lot of time.
Chica. Apparently my dog is going to yell at people walking by. Hey, Chica, come here.
That happens. That happens. We've only got one more story to go. So, and I'll get it all lined up here, then I'll let you know. All righty, here we go. She's ready.
This is a story about psychedelics. And this I found interesting because I perused this one. Sarpa salpa, the psychedelic fish you've probably never heard of. If you eat its brain or liver, you will trip serious balls for up to 36 hours.
I've never heard of this either. Either have I. The world's oceans are home to a vast array of mysterious wonders. From the highly intelligent octopus or dolphin to the bizarre creatures lurking miles below the surface, the Lord's aquatic creations are awe-inspiring. One particular fish native to the Mediterranean Sea and East Atlantic Ocean has garnered a reputation for its otherworldly qualities. The golden striped Sarpa salpa, or Salama porgy, has attracted attention in recent years because of its psychoactive properties.
Most recently, Stanford University launched a study on the so-called dreamfish to try and determine why its brain and organs can induce LSD-like effects on those who consume them. Notably, the ancient Romans are said to have recreationally ingested the Sarpa salpa at parties to induce altered states of consciousness. It is also rumored to have been used as a sacrament in Polynesian ceremonies. The France Stanford Center for Interdisciplinary Studies, a collaboration between Stanford and French institutions, investigated this topic during the 2024 to 2025 academic year. Many believe the ocean critters do not cause hallucinations because of chemicals naturally occurring in their body, but rather due to a diet that includes toxic macroalgae and phytoplankton. This process has been referred to as ichthyolate toxism.
All right, way to go, Steve. Wow, what a word. Look at that. Oh.
I had to look it up and figure out how to say that one.
I see it's missing a couple letters out of the alphabet, but that's about it. Now, they say this project will identify the dietary origin of the dreamfish toxicity and examine the impact of toxin-mediated interactions on seagrass ecology and conservation, the researchers said in a recent blog post. Despite widely accepted theories about the fish's diet, many still debate the exact cause of the phenomenon. Some believe that DMT present in this Salamaprogi may be responsible, but nobody has been able to definitely prove what makes the fish extraordinary.
Although the specific mechanism is not yet understood, the active compounds in Sarpa-salpa are thought to modulate the serotonin system, similar to other hallucinogenic substances, commented somebody or other, and psychedelics enthusiast Bram Rector in 2023. This interaction may lead to intense visual hallucinations and altered perception. The most recent documented cases of individuals consuming the fish and becoming intoxicated occurred in 2002 and 1994.
23 years ago, a 90-year-old man ate one on the French Riviera and started experiencing auditory hallucinations and nightmares for 2 nights. The dreamfish he gobbled up had not been gutted properly, and experience was unintentional. The latter case in the 1990s also occurred in France when a 40-year-old man ingested a baked Sarpa-salpa at a restaurant and started tripping out so hard within a couple of hours that he ended up in the hospital. Both of these cases were documented in a 2006 study published in the journal Clinical Toxicology.
Furthermore, could you imagine you go and you eat dinner and you have no idea, and the next thing you know, you're tripping balls for like 2 days? Holy shit. Furthermore, a National Geographic photographer is alleged to have deliberately chowed down on one. He got a chef to broil it for him and was quite pleased with his experience. It was pure science fiction, said Joe Roberts. I saw a new kind of car steered with a stick like a plane, and then I was taking pictures of a monument to mark man's first trip into space.
Others adventurous people have claimed to see Batman or pink elephants, according to French toxicologist Dr. Luc Deharo. Its head and liver are said to be the most mind-altering body parts, particularly when eaten raw. Ugh. When prepared correctly, it is considered to be a delicacy in certain countries like France, Spain, Tunisia, and Israel. There it is, just a little guy right there.
The Sarpa-salpa is no ordinary fish. Known for its golden stripes, it can cause 36-hour hallucinations when eaten. Wow.
Yeah.
And I looked it up. I looked it up on Wiki. I don't have it open right at the moment, but it was saying it was a form of DMT that I'd actually never heard of before. Broma DMT or something like that.
Yeah. There you go. There's the Sarpa-salpa, the psychedelic fish you've probably never heard of. Never. Now I know, with some trees and even the frog. There's people worry about the frog, but the fish you actually have to kill it and eat it.
Can you imagine the guy 23 years ago, a 90-year-old man ate one on the French Riviera?
Yeah.
And got high for 2 nights.
I wouldn't know. Like they wouldn't know. The person from the restaurant, all that stuff. I don't know what the hell. What's going on? No.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of know that you're going to go tripping if you're going to go tripping, so you can have your setting and your intention. So my intention is I'm gonna go eat some fish and end up in the hospital for 2 days.
Yeah. I don't think he intended to do that. So, but that's I've never heard of it either. We'll have to ask Cindy that as well.
That's. I'll be looking a little more into that particular thing just to learn, just because it's another form of DMT that I've never heard of as well.
Yeah. Well, that's why our show, Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. You're welcome, Catherine. You're welcome. Yeah. And okay. Well, anything else before I sign us off?
No, I think that's pretty much it from this side of the planet.
All right. Well, got to say thanks to everybody for tuning into the broadcast today. And you too as
and
well,
Buddy Weed. Nice.
Buddy Weeds, you have a great day. And everybody else, as he says. And other than that, got to thank our sponsors. That is the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, and At-Eze.ca.
for all your microdosing needs.
And peace to all of you as well, Gordo. And other than that,
thanks for joining us and hanging with us while we went through the news.
Exactly. Other than that, as I always say, I've been saying this since 2008. Do not, educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.